moth that's been, or the butterfly that has been sacrificed here. We can talk about the meaning of this. This is that location today. This is the Great Pyramid of Cholula. I'm sure some of you have been there. Here you see the great ceremonial center, the ruins of it down here. And here, of course, is the Christian church on top, the Catholic church on top. This is a shrine dedicated to Our Lady of the Remedies, Nuestra Señora de los Remedios. Today, throughout the year, you will see people coming here on pilgrimages. In matter of fact, when I was studying with Glenn Davidson, I was down in Mexico, and I was there one day. I went to see it. I went to see it, and I trudged up there. I was kind of pooped out. I was sitting there, kind of thinking about it. I was sitting right outside. I heard these firecrackers going off in the distance. They kept getting closer, fire, and all of a sudden I heard this band. There were trumpets and tubas and all this stuff. And all of a sudden, into the ceremonial area right up there, stumbled about 15 of these people. They were largely men in their 50s and 60s. They had these kind of old beat-up shoes. And behind them came some young people carrying on their backs the Virgin from their own community, which had been a 4 days walk. These people had walked for 4 days. They'd come up to the top. They trudged in there, and they then took their Virgin in to meet the Virgin that was inside of that church. Just before they went in, they looked over at me because we talked, and they said, "Hey, man, buddy, come on with us." I said, "No, man, that's okay. You guys go ahead." But we then began to talk, and this is a sacred magnet, and it was a magnet in the time of the map. It's a magnet today. So, left side of the map. We started here. Here's the cosmic barriers. Here's the split in the road. Right up here. Here itself is the city. What do you make of the fact that the right side of the map is so different in its spatial organization, in its events? This side of the map represents the settlement. Here they are settling themselves, and during their settlement, during the 200-year period, well, we see other pathways. We see other types of footprints, and I'll show you where they go. But here's this road that goes all the way to Oaxaca, all the way to Veracruz, and back to Puebla so that they can finally find their home. Just a quick series of images, and then I'm running out of time. I want to make sure we have discussion. So here they are. They're on their way to found their community, and they hunt deer. And here they are capturing a deer at this location, and here they are splitting the deer. They're killing the deer and splitting it up. So they're recording here this type of hunting and ritual dismemberment. Then they come, here are the footprints, and they come to this community, and this is Eagle Mountain on the day 2 knife. Here's a calendar that's in it. And this community's been captured big time because they got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 arrows in the temple, and that means that there's a conquest along the road of this community. One of my most favorite images, here they come along, and they come to this place with these 2 ears. This is Rumor Town. The name of this place refers to a belief in these communities that these mice with their big ears, they live in the wall and they're always listening, and they're the ones that spread rumors. So be careful what you say. This is Chisme Town right here. This is Chisme Town. This is Tlaloc, and here you see them weaving, images of their weaving, and a drum. So here you see all of this information that's overwhelming to us. And then a figure that shows up in the children's book that has grown out of this, a woman made of stone. There's a man made of stone, and there's a woman made of stone. She's been turned into stone along the way, and we see several images of this. I wanted to just sort of start to weave you now into the final part of the talk, which is the way in which our scholarship tried to link then to now. So here you see an image in the mappa where a child is being forced to eat chili peppers. I drove up yesterday from Albuquerque, man. I passed this truck, and it was full of these ristras, and they were so red, and there were so many of them. It was so sweet, and it hurt to go by, but look at him. Here he is. Now, there's actually other documents tell us that children in the Aztec world, when they were disobedient, they were sometimes forced to eat chiles, or they were put over chiles that were burned in the smoke, and they put them in there. So you don't listen to your mother, this is what happens to you. Not a bad idea. You should think about it here in New Mexico. But here you see the images. This painting would have been like this, and here is what the chili pan actually looks like. So you can see that these artists are being very careful about their representation. Coming closer to the end here, they're not only walking on the earth, they're also going into not only the underworld, but they're going into other regions. And this image shows it. Because here you see footprints. See the footprints here? These footprints are following two other footprints. This is the footprints of a deer across a snow field that has 4 little hillocks on each side. You see that rings the snow field. And in the middle, you have a twisted 2 trees that are intertwined, and you have 2 snakes that are intertwined. In Aztec mythology, this always signifies that you're in Tamoanchan, which is paradise, that you're in the world of the afterlife. And this seems to be some reference to them where the hunter does catch the deer that he's following and also meets this woman who's in a cave and has some sort of important communication. So this it signaled us to the other. Then it's really toward the end here. There is a marriage ceremony. And in the marriage ceremony, 2 women from the town of Cuautinchan, that is the place they finally arrived at, have come down, and I'll show you their footprints in a minute. They've come down all the way from the city, all the way to Oaxaca. So they've had to walk about 150 miles. And here they are marrying 2 local characters at a place called Serpent Mountain, you see, at which there's also a sacrifice of animals. You can see here the sacrifice of these animals. Here's the priest with his musical instrument. This is actually a trumpet. And here they're carrying out this particular wedding ceremony and a sacrifice. And then, almost the last slide, here is the one place where the Spaniards show up. So here they are in 1540s, they're painting their own story, and they slip the Spaniards in. Here's a Spanish church, the outline of a church. There are actually 2 of these in the document. What's really remarkable about this church is this is the atrio, the area outside. Here's the entrance to the church. Here's the tower. Is that it's right next to an indigenous temple. And you all know that when the Spaniards came, one of the first things they did was destroy these temples and use these temple stones to build their own churches. If I take you to Mexico City, I can show you where the National Cathedral is built out of the stones from the great Aztec temple. That's here. But when they paint it, they keep their temple in play, as well as the Catholic temple. And I think this is saying something very important about their identity. That dual identity that we talk about today, being mestizo, mestizaje, Hispanic. Well, here it is. This kind of combination is right there. So here's where the wedding ceremony takes place. So here's the wedding ceremony down here. Here's the footprints of the women who've come down for the wedding ceremony, and then they head back up there. Here's the church. Here's the church. So the church is actually outside of the area of the city itself, and what we did finally is the book.